Hey there friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today I wanted to show off a Titan build for one of my old favorite exotics in Destiny 2, Dunemarchers. These things were absolutely hated by PvP players, and I really enjoy using them. They're quite a bit of fun, especially this week in Eruption Iron Banner. I think they're still viable, even though they are underutilized. They're not going to be as meta or dominant as they once were, but that's okay. I like when things are a little bit under the radar, because no one's expecting the playstyle, and that leads me to be able to run this and have a lot of fun without everyone kind of knowing what's coming. And that's something that I very much enjoy and fits what I want to do in PvP for sure. Now, I am running the Supremacy. This is to counter the bow meta. It's my favorite sniper in the game. Yeah, it's not the best one in the game, but you can use whichever one you want in the slot. I just personally prefer the Supremacy, and I have since I first got it many years ago. So that's why I have that on, pretty much pure nostalgia at this point. Then we've got the Trespasser. This is an underrated weapon that pairs really well with any arc build, and I think it's perfect for cleaning up kills after I am able to dive bomb in with my Dunemarchers and get a couple kills, clean them up with my Trespasser. It works out really, really well. And then finally we have Song of Your Ute. Any arc heavy weapon will work here. Any heavy weapon in general doesn't matter. For me personally, I was having a good time with machine guns this week, so that's why I tossed that on, and I think it is pretty effective overall. As far as the rest of the build, we've got Thunder Crash. You can use whichever one you like between this and Fist of Havoc. It doesn't really matter too much. I just prefer Thunder Crash. It does allow more synergy with the build. I'm actually running Thruster. I love this to get out of trouble when I'm able to dive in and then dip behind cover. I really like that. Strafe Lift to get the high jump and slam down with my Ballistic Slam. This one is fantastic. I love using this so much. It is a ton of fun. Now, the only caveat being, when you run into a bunch of Wish Enders, it can be a little bit of a problem because they see you jumping in the air, but otherwise, if you're able to play this right, it is a great play style that I very much enjoy. Then we've got the Pulse Grenade. Oftentimes what I'll do is I'll lead with my Slam, drop a grenade, thruster out of there, and then finish anybody off that I need to with my Trespasser. It is such a wicked combination, especially when I'm able to get out of the way of shotguns or fusions when they're waiting for me after the Ballistic Slam. I'm running Touch of Thunder. This is going to help with my Pulse Grenade, get that Ionic Trace, get my abilities back even faster, and then Knockout. This is going to help with my melee damage, getting me amplified and all that kind of good stuff after I get some kills with melee attacks, and that's going to be the main crux of this build. As far as the fragments go, we got Focus here. This is going to increase my class ability regeneration, and so I have my thruster back even more often. Then we've got Spark of Instinct. This is going to be essentially clutch when I'm critically wounded up close. You're going to see me up in the enemy's face oftentimes, and this is going to actually get me some kills and jolting targets. That does really, really well when I'm surrounded. And again, resistance while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage, which is very nice. And then taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage. So all of that combines really, really well. Nobody should want to punch me with this, and once I start punching people, it's game over. So I really like all of that combination. We also got Dunemarchers, obviously the main key to this. Faster sprinting. Again, since I'm sprinting, I'm getting my thruster back even more, and then the chain melee damage, which is really, really nice. After melee attacking an enemy, that charge will chain damage to nearby enemies. So you'll see me getting some multi-kills from time to time. I've got some mods on here to allow me to get my abilities back even faster, some kickstarts and all that kind of good stuff. That's really the key to all of that, but really use whatever mods you're comfortable with in PvP, and then we've got the artifact and all that kind of good stuff as well. As far as the play style goes, it's pretty standard. Oftentimes I'll actually lead with my sniper rifle. If I see the team is not being super aggressive, I'll engage them with a shot or two and then let them get into a gunfight with the rest of my team, and that's when I'm going to flank in. If you rush in right away, I think a lot of people are expecting that, especially with Strand being so dominant. You're seeing a lot of people grapple in to combat with the first wave. So with this loadout, I do like to snipe first and then swap over and use my Ballistic Slam after everyone's kind of been engaged with the gunfight for a little bit. They're ADS, so they're not looking at their radar, and it just works out better for me in that way. So I'm not super aggressive right off the jump. But after that, then it's kind of play at your own pace, and it works out really well. I do think depending on what map it is and how open everything is, you can get picked off up in the air. I see a lot of pulse rifles that'll be able to shoot me down if I'm not careful. So what I like to do is when I'm jumping high in the air, I will kind of glide against the walls if they're high enough on the map to allow me to kind of peek down and wait for them to get closer before I use my slam. And that's why the strafe lift is so important, because I'm able to jump up really high and kind of float there for a little bit while the enemy is moving around. They don't know exactly where I'm at, and then slam down once they're in range. So I think that's really the crux of the play style overall. I do think there's a lot better options if you want to go for pure meta based builds. This isn't going to work as well for something like 3v3. It can work really well in other capture the flag type modes like Control, like Iron Banner, Fortress, anything like that, because enemies are grouped together. Now the key to that is going to be getting your abilities back, whereas with Eruption, if I'm getting a couple kills, I'm start surging, and that's going to allow me to get my abilities back faster. So that's why I don't worry about it as much, and I'm able to get my abilities back pretty quickly without having to really tinker too much with the mods outside of, like I said, a grenade and a melee kickstart. We've got like dynamo and hands-on stuff like that. So you have to really get used to using your thruster ability as well. I think a lot of people still prefer the barricades just because they are so effective. However, with this playstyle, oftentimes by the time you pop your barricade, and I see this a lot from other people who play Titans, oh, it pops so slow. Yeah, that's part of the problem. You're going to pop your barricade. By the time it pops, you're already dead. Whereas with this, if you play cover right, you're able to thruster out of danger with a quick evade. You see me get around corners as some people are shooting me down lanes, and it does work out really well for me personally with thruster and this build. So other than that, I think play to your favorite playstyle. You could swap the Trespasser for a SMG, would work out really well. You can swap the sniper for a bow. Don't recommend doing that. I know bows will probably get nerfed here in the near future. You can also swap it for a scout rifle if you like to as well, or even a linear fusion rifle, but don't be tied to so much to the weapons. Be tied to the distance that you're playing with. You definitely need a close range weapon, especially you could run a shotgun if you want to, but the downside to that is if I lunge in and I'm surrounded by enemies, I won't have enough ammo to take them all down. Whereas with the Trespasser, I can melee one, get my health recharge started, and then I can use my amplified Trespasser to just lay waste to everybody else in the area. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the build and also what build you've been running in Iron Banner this week. I'd love to hear from you guys for sure about that, because I think there's a lot of potential for diversity right now. There's not a lot of things that are absolutely dominant. So with that, I want to hear what you guys are running. My name is JoPa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.